In this video tutorial, we'll take a look at how to configure a grid map in the Valorx Design Studio. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Go ahead and click on Maps. We will select Grid Map. And the objects that we can select from were first set up in the data modeling section. So we picked two objects, that's why we're seeing two here. Let's go ahead and start with an opportunity map. And there's two modes. There's the advanced mode, which gives you a lot more control and functionality. And then if you're just looking to map fields and see the location, you can absolutely use basic. But we're going to go into advanced today. Now the cell location took my focus when I clicked on grid map. We can absolutely change this, but let's say we want our grid map to start in B2. And the worksheet is the worksheet that we are currently on. So you can decide a different worksheet. You can actually type in something and have a new worksheet created. And you'll notice by default, our fields are already mapped out here. We have everything as bidirectional, display and save. And if we wanted to rearrange things, we could absolutely just do this. So let's say we want account name to begin, then name, then maybe the stage, amount. Let's just move things around. And that should be good. So we can see where everything's going to go. We can see the data type. And then we also have field options. So let's say we want to be able to create an opportunity and assign it to an account. We can configure the account lookup. And we can do something like we want the user to be able to search by account name. We have different operators in here. So let's just make this contains. We'll say display. And I want to be able to search by the account type. And if it's a pick list like this is, and I choose in, the user will be able to select multiple options and display as well. Now, if you're missing a field in here that you want to be able to search or display, you could just go ahead on the right-hand side and click on Add More Fields. And this is where you could come in here and look for a different field. So maybe we want number of employees, and we want this as well. We'll say greater than or equal to, it's the number field, and we're okay. You can see that this field has been configured. We can add a color bar to a pick list. So if we take a look at our pick list values for stage, we'll see them all right here. We'll see the colors, and you can come in here and change these colors if you want something different. You can also decide for certain values you don't want a color to be associated with it, or you can just do a no fill. You can always reset back as well. This is going to color for that single cell, but if you wanted it to apply to an entire row, when a user changes a value, you can absolutely do that. Typically, it would be more you want to just keep one cell like this, and then if somebody changes something to close lost, their attention really will be drawn to that record. We'll click OK. Next to the field options is something called default values. So if you want to create new records, you can set what the default value will be. A user can always change it, but again, if it's a pick list, you'd be able to set new records to be, let's say, prospecting. Let's say for a date, you want to set the default value to be the end of November, and you can do this for the other fields as well. Next to that is something called hidden. So by default, IDs will be hidden. You can unhide things, or you can even hide other fields. And then the last thing to point out in here is something called the transaction status. So transaction status is not a Salesforce field. It is a field that Valorx allows you to add to any map, form, or grid. And this will give you, for users, when they click on save, a message like the record was saved successfully, it failed, or it was skipped. So we always recommend keeping the transaction status on here. You can remove it if you would like. If you want to unmap any fields, you would just use this column right here. And then finally, jumping into the two bottom sections here, display options. You'll notice certain things that are turned on by default that you can turn off. Automatically, columns will be auto fit. You can change the minimum width. If you wanted to auto fit the rows, you can do that as well. By default, Excel filters will be turned on. Again, you can turn that off. You can remove the get grid lines. By default, we will remove grid lines, but if you want to add them back, you can as well. And then a couple other things below is if you don't want a user to be able to create records and this one grid, you can actually change the behavior right here. So this will not allow users to create records. This will not allow users to delete records. And this last section in here is at the time of running an application. Let's say you forgot a field that an end user is looking for. This would give them the ability to add a field on the fly. And as we make our way down the other sections, borders and colors. So once we map the data, you'll see the different header colors that we're using. You can play around with this, come up with your own color scheme. And then by default, if we can, we're going to create a pivot table. So you'll notice that a pivot table is going to get created off of this data. If you want to remove this, you can absolutely do that. And then sorting. So if you want to sort the data as it gets brought in, you could do something like, I want to sort by the account name in alphabetical order. You could change this to be the other way, and you can add levels as well. So first sort by account, then sort by the opportunity name, and then let's say we want to sort by the stage. And click OK. And the very last thing in here is if you have a large list of fields and you want to be able to move things in bulk, you can actually click on this right here, reorder multiple fields. I could decide to check these 3 fields, and I could just do something like that. So this reorder multiple fields will add a new column in here to do that. If at any time you're missing a field, you can jump over here and grab a field as well. So maybe we want, let's see, we've already grabbed those. Maybe we want this field. And you always can get a quick preview of what these pick list values are. I can click OK. That new field will be added to the bottom. I can just go ahead and drag this up here as well. And this is also where you can play with how you want these fields to behave. Do you want it to be read-only? You can remove the save functionality. Do you want it to be save-only? You can remove the display functionality. Or you can just leave it as is and it's bidirectional. And finally, we're just going to click Save and Close. And you can see that our map has been created right here. So the color that was in that settings section, once you've mapped things, the field label, which is what's right here, can be changed. So if I wanted to do something like account name, owner, you can absolutely do these types of things. And you're in Excel, so basic Excel formatting, you can do these types of things, move things around, adjust, but this is how you would create your first grid map. If I want to adjust things, what I would do is go into Maps. I would click on Edit. You also have the ability to clone. So if you wanted to clone this exact grid and have it in a different location, different sheet, you could use this as a starting point, but let's go in and edit. Let's say I want to remove a field. I can actually just do this. Let's say I want to move things around. Same way as I was doing it before. And when I click save, it's going to readjust everything. And it's showing you that, again, the location and this section will be adjusting as you're moving things. Now, let's say we want to add a formula column, something in Excel, and I want to add it between the amount and lead source. So I can go right here and click on this plus. It says insert a blank column. You can do as many as you would like, but let me just get rid of a couple of these. And I might want to say, just for the sake of it, this will be my field label formula. Let's go ahead and click Save, Close. Here we have that field that we just added. And if I wanted to add a formula, I could do something like equals, let's see, H1 times, again, anything you would like. And if I had just some static number here, I could do that. What ValRx will do is when the data gets rendered, it will automatically take that formula and expand it down for the amount of records that were retrieved. Whether it was 10 records, whether it was 10,000 records, but this is where you'll write your formulas, is in this top row above your column labels. And this is how also you would add a spacer column, which this is not a mapped field to Salesforce. This is just something that you wanted to add within this grid. So this is the grid map. Thank you for watching.